start recording. Okay, I'm now recording. Basically, the contents of today's call is going to be a breakdown of all of the pairs that I have sent to the group chat recently. You can see that I sent Euro USD to the group chat. It's now in profit. I've also sent, what else did I send? I think I sent, let me show you the other pair. So I sent Euro JPY as well. So here we go. Let's go on to Euro JPY. Euro JPY, as you can see, is also in profit. What else did I send? I sent USD JPY, as you can see, that's also in profit. So what I'll be doing is I'll be breaking down all of those pairs, entering any other pairs that you guys want me to go through. If there are any pairs that you guys want me to go through, if there aren't, of course, we'll go through education and so on and so forth. I've had a couple of requests for me to slow down the way I speak when I go through certain topics in when I'm breaking down pairs, for example, or I'm doing educational topics. So I will make sure to do that. I will try slow down the way I speak so that you can all get every word that I am saying and be able to benefit from every second of this call. If you are confused or have any questions at any point in this call, please do let me know, and I will of course do everything that I can to remove your confusion and so on, to make it so you understand everything. But yeah, that's all for that. I'll start the analysis. Just give me a second to do something. So 1 second, boys and girls, just give me a second. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so here we go. What I'll do is I'll go through EU. So yeah, Mohammed says, can you go through EU? Of course, I'll go through EU. I'll go through EU. I'll go through, what else will I go through? I'll go through USD JPY. And then finally, I'll go through Euro JPY. So that were all sent to the group. And if you don't know where to find those in the group, I'll just show you where they are in the group. So here we go. You should now all be able to see my screen on the group. So if I scroll down here and I go into watch list for the week, here we go. I posted all of these trades where I posted at the beginning of the week. So you can see the 23rd of May. That was the beginning of the week. I posted these. So where should I start? I started from here. So here we go. Today at 6:15, I started with Euro JPY. You can see I had a buy setup on Euro JPY. Market ended up triggering us in. Can't say that word for some reason. And is now running in some profit. Similar thing for Euro JPY. These were the profit targets for Euro JPY. I mean, similar thing for Euro USD. I meant. And then finally, did I not post the last trade? I was meant to have another trade in from USD. So I had USD JPY, Euro JPY, and Euro USD. So USD JPY was posted a long time ago. I think it was posted at the beginning of the week. If I just show us where it was posted. And I get us a good, okay, here we go. Here's USD JPY. This was my entry, and this was how I was looking to enter USD JPY. Market ended up coming to my entry price and is now dropping off nicely. So those are the proof of postage on the group chat, and I will continue to post in the group chat so that you can all be benefiting from those setups and so on and so forth. So I'll start off with Euro JPY. I'll just delete everything off my chart, and I'll break it down as though, you know, it was a clean chart, and it is a clean chart. Okay, so what did I see in Euro JPY? On Euro JPY, I could see a very clear market that we were bullish in, right? You can see that we are very clearly forming high highs and high lows. So a high, a high high, a high high, a high high, a high high, right? The market has been forming high highs and high lows, of course, for a very long time now, since basically the beginning of 2020. Right, so the market has been very bullish for a long time, and therefore I'm not going to be looking to do anything other than buy this market. If we look at our higher time frames, maybe something like our weekly, there isn't anything telling us, at least immediately, to be selling this market, right? So I'm not going to be selling this market at all, right? I'm only going to be buying it and going with the overall prevailing higher time frame trend, which is bullish, right? So I was looking for higher time frame, for lower time frame bullish trades, buy side setups, because we had that higher time frame bullish overall directional bias, right? If I'm speaking too fast, do let me know. I have tried, of course, you know, I just speak fast naturally, but I will of course slow it down if you guys are not understanding what I mean. So what I then did was I went onto the lower time frames, and I was looking for certain areas to be entering Euro JPY to take it to the upside, right? And here's what I noticed. I noticed that there was a very, very clean OB, as you can see right there, right? This was the OB that I was watching. This was the OB that I wanted to get entries on to take the market higher from. I looked to see if there were any other OBs, and this OB I do actually have an entry on. I am currently running in profit, right? And I looked to see if there were any other OBs, just to see maybe perhaps if we got stopped out of this trade, if there were any other entries to take the market higher from. And as you can see, there was a nice area here as well, right? The reason why I wanted to enter from this one rather than this one is, if I show you and I draw in the Fibonacci for this full move here, you can see that we are right in the middle between that 0.618 and the 0.5 level, right? So I was looking for the market to push up, return, coinciding with the 618 level of the Fibonacci, and then go higher, right? So that's what I was expecting. And as you can see, we are having that bullish momentum continue to the upside, right? And that's what we expected to happen. And that's why I'm expecting to continue to happen as the market pushes to the upside, right? Then I thought, okay, here's my stop loss, fairly simple stop loss. Maybe if you wanted to, you could give it breathing space and put it here. What I've decided to do is put it right here, just because I prefer to take entries and be in and out of the setup, and just, if I'm losing quickly, and if I'm winning quickly, right? I don't want to be in setups for too long. And as you can see here, we were in, and as soon as we got in, we are in profit, right? Where would I be targeting for a setup like this? For my targets, I looked at my higher time frames, and as you can see, if I draw this in for us right here, you can see that we have a very, very, very clear weekly POI, right? Why is this a potential area of interest to me? As you can see, the market has a very, very clear, right, weekly OB right here, right? The market has that weekly OB, has that engulfing candle after the weekly OB, making sure that that OB is valid, right? And then from that weekly OB, we have the market break structure below lows like here, right? Therefore, this OB is as valid as it gets. So I want to be entering either sells from this OB or closing my buys at that OB, because it's likely that at this OB or that price right there, the market will reverse and we'll see a bearish market. And that would make sense just because we've been bullish for such a long time, ever since the beginning of April, ever since that crash for Corona that we all saw, right? It's been bullish, right? So a potential retracement from that bullish move for almost a year now, right, is natural and is expected, right? So that's what I'm expecting to happen. I'm expecting for it to come into an OB here and begin to sell off nicely, right? So that's what I'm looking to take full profits off the table. If anyone has any questions, please do let me know and I will go through all of them. Yeah, Wavy, that OB is very, very sexy. It's very clean. You can see it's as clean as it gets. If I go into the higher time frames, that weekly OB, it doesn't get any cleaner like this, cleaner than this. It breaks structure to the upside, sells off nicely, has a lot of bearish momentum. So this is a very nice area. We might even be looking to sell the market, close our buys at this price, and then be looking to enter new trades to go against the market and sell the market at this price, right? So yeah, that's that very nice setup. Solomon says it's too fast. Yeah, I'll slow it down. So sorry, I'll slow it down. Ridwan says, doesn't OB have to be from wick to wick? You can add the wick, right? And if you add the wick, you'll just have to deal with something like that. But for the time being, what I like to do is I like to enter from, if we have bodies like this, it really depends on each OB. So for example, if I just do something like this and I get rid of extend to the right, if we have a nice OB here, and let me just make it so it has a border so you can actually see it, right? Say we have an OB like this that is very, very clear, and then we have a very clear bearish engulfing candle afterwards, right? Right after that candle, a lot of the time you don't even need to add the wick. So say for example, there was a wick that looked like this. That's not clean. 1 second. I can't make it clean just because there's a pixel in there. But basically, if it depends on the OB. If the OB is clean and there's no need, say for example, we have something like this. There's an OB where we have loads and loads of candles, right? Let me just show you. So an OB, another candle here, another candle here. Then finally, we have a nice push to the downside. Maybe then you want to add your wicks into the equation. But because here our OB is so clean, which is exactly what we have right here in this setup up here, right? I don't even need for us to have any sort of wicks added to the OB. You can if you want to, and you can just close trades earlier. That would just mean you catch less pips, and that's something you might want to do if you don't want to be taking that risk. But that's a personal decision, right? I hope that makes sense, Redwan. Who else? Okay, we're getting loads and loads of questions now. To give me a second. Isaac says, which place is ideal to put your stop loss? I'll go through that. Wavy, why don't you put the entry in the middle of the OB? I'll go through that as well. Is it good to refine? Just sometimes they're small enough it is good to refine. Just sometimes they're small enough to work from the hourly. Yeah, that's basically what I was going through. So Dan, what he just said there is basically what I was going through on why we don't care about certain OBs not having to put the wicks in. Rewatch the video if he is too fast. I think he speaks fast, but we can't change a grown man at this point of his life. That's why the calls are recorded. I mean, yeah, that's a good point. I can't lie. That is a good point. These calls are recorded, so you can, listen back to them later on. If you think that I'm speaking too fast, I'm sorry if that actually affects the way you are learning, but that these calls will be recorded. So yeah, if that helps, then perhaps that helps. So I was getting loads of questions. Someone asked me, why don't you enter off of the 50% of the OB? So for this OB, you're saying, why don't I enter from somewhere down here rather than at the price I entered at? This is a preference thing, right? There are many reasons why I don't like to enter here. Basically, it's you balancing the likelihood of being triggered into your trade with how high a risk to reward you want. If you don't mind missing trades sometimes, right? What you can do, and you want really high risk to rewards all the time, you can get your entries off of the 50% of an OB, get entries like this. You will therefore be less likely to be triggered into your trades. But once you are triggered into your trades, you have better risk to rewards. So here you can see we have a 1 to, what do we have? We have a 1 to 5. Obviously, this isn't our final take profits. Our final take profits are up here, right? So even with the entry from the 1 of the Fibonacci, we have a 1 to 15. But if you want really, really high risk to rewards, if you want to get a 1 to 30 risk to reward, then of course you can enter from here. But that's just a matter of preference. I don't mind having to deal with these smaller stop risk to rewards compared to something like this. But just because even now with the 1 to 15 risk to reward, that's completely amazing compared to retail 1 to 3s, 1 to 2s, and so on. So I'm completely happy with a 1 to 15, and I don't want to risk not getting entered into a 1 to 15 just to potentially get entered into a trade with a 1 to 30 or with lower chances of being entered. Right. So that's just a matter of preference. I prefer not having to deal with that stress of not being entered into your trade. Right. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so for beginners, is it necessary to refine your OB? I mean, if you want better stop losses and you want, higher risk to rewards, of course, what I'd suggest is you learn to refine your OBs from the start, right? So that later on you can refine to a point where it's like magic. You can get 1 to 2 pip stop losses, and we have had trades with 1 to 2 pip stop losses, right? So refining entries, I'd begin refining entries from the start, right? This entry isn't necessarily refined. The Euro USD entry is refined, and I'll go through that. But you don't necessarily have to refine every single setup. Don't force a refinement if the refinement isn't possible. In this case, there was no sort of refinement. We had an area of consolidation, as you can see. Consolidation is a good thing when we are talking about OBs. The market came into that area of consolidation or our area of demand, and we're seeing the market push up now, right? So don't force refinement if refinement isn't possible in a setup, right? I hope that makes sense. Wavy R, okay, makes sense. Don't mind missing the trades for the higher RR. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. What he says, isn't it better to just enter on the open? Yeah, that's exactly what I do. So the open of, if you want to call this our whole OV, the open of that candle is where I have entered and I'm expecting the market to push up from. And that's where I entered the trades from. So that's what I like to do, just because I don't mind not being entered into your trades. I don't mind having to deal with the smaller stop losses compared to if I put it, right at the bottom or did something like this and I entered off this 50%, I would get higher risk to rewards, but it's less likely that I'd get triggered, right? So that's what I suggest you do, and that's how I suggest you go ahead with those types of setups, right? So just give me a second. One person seems to not be able to join the group, so give me a second to get that up for them. There we go. 1 second. 1 second, people. I just need to get this one person into the call because I don't want anyone not benefiting from the content that we are going through. So just give us a second. It will be recorded for them, but they're a new member, so I just don't want them to miss out on that setup on this call. Let me just send this to them. 1 second. Okay, here we go. I sent them the link. They should be able to join. Okay, so back to what was I doing? I was going through Euro JPY. So that was the first setup. Hopefully, I'm hoping for this setup to go very, very high, just because we have both Fibonacci levels in this trade, and also we have an OB, right? So that's why I suggest you go through, and that's how I suggest you play out this trade on Euro JPY. The other setup that I sent out was Euro USD, right? Euro USD is currently running in some nice profits. Similarly, you can see this was my entry, this was my refined entry, and I set my stop loss just below here to give it a bit of space. But even then, we're dealing with 1 to 42 risk to rewards, right? So there's nothing much to deal with. There's no point in missing your trade to get an entry with a 1 to 50 risk to reward compared to a 1 to 40 risk to reward. Both are amazing. So don't stress yourself out with that. And that's how I suggest you go ahead and deal with those type of setups. So how did I refine this? Right, I'll show you exactly how I refine this setup. So this is what I noticed. If I start on the higher time frames, you can see on the daily time frame, you can see very clearly, right? Very, very clearly. Didn't mean to do that. You can see very clearly that we are in a bullish market, forming higher highs and higher lows. We have a low here, we have a high, low, high, low, high, low. You can just see from the market that it's forming higher highs and higher lows, right? Then what I noticed was on the 4-hour time frame, the market just took out equal highs to the upside, right? We just had that liquidity grab forming that higher high that we just saw happen, right? The market is now retracing. And what did we have the market come into? We had the market come into a nice area of demand, right? Then what I noticed was I wanted to be able to refine this area of demand, right? So I replayed this market and I looked to see if there were any ways to be able to refine this area of demand. And this is what I noticed. I noticed that there was this nice area of sell side action before the full buy up, right? That happened inside that full area of consolidation that we were looking, right? This is our higher time frame OB if you like. This is our lower time frame OB if you like, right? So we are looking to see how to get an entry from this OB, which is exactly what I did, and this is what I posted in the group chat. Right, if you look at the 4-hour time frame and we just get out of replay mode, the market taps right back into our demand zone, and we look at something like the 1-hour time frame, the market taps into our demand zone. So this is our entry right here. This would have been my entry if I just decided to go through just that from that full area of consolidation, which would have had nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that setup, but I feel like here was just a better area for me. It's not me sacrificing my trade for a higher RR, because it does look like I have sacrificed my trade, because here we're looking at a 1 to 36 and here we're looking at a 1 to 40. I say despite that, it's fine to deal with these small type of refinements, but don't have a concrete rule where you say I only enter from the 0.5. Because if you only enter from the 0.5, you probably would have missed your entry by like a couple of pips, which would have been, a huge frustration, right? So that's why I don't like to set those concrete rules, but I do like following these refinement rules so that I'm able to get those higher time frame confluences and lower time frame entries. So I hope that makes sense, right? So Euro USD, very simple setup. I have a friend. This isn't insider trading. I'll go through why, but basically, I have a friend that has a friend that works in an institute, and apparently they're looking to be able to hold the buys up on EU all the way up to prices of 1.33. So all the way up here, right? This isn't insider trading just because it's obviously that institute doesn't control the price of EU, right? If they control the price of EU and knew that price would be going to that area, and then I went and sent you guys a signal, then that would be insider trading, and that would be illegal, right? But this isn't insider trading just because we have. It looks like it's like me being a trader and I telling another trader of a trade that I have just opened, so that we can both make money. So it's not insider trading just for you guys that are worrying, because I know you guys do look out for me in terms of like the legal stuff and so on and so forth. So just to let you guys know it's not insider trading, right? So that's EU. I'm hoping to hold this all the way up as a minimum, equalize up here, maybe take partials off the table here. There are also OBs down here. So if I show us here, right? I want to zoom in. So OBs here, maybe I can take partials off the table there as well. But yeah, this does look like a nice setup. As you can see, we are having those pushes to the upside now happen. I'm looking to hold this all the way up to the upside. But yeah, that's Euro USD. If you have any other questions, I'm getting loads and loads of questions now. Holy, give me a second. Okay. Mahad, even though there's consolidation in this region, what is the risk of the losing setup and how to evaluate reference Euro JPY? I'll go back to Euro JPY. Joa asks, are all OBs valid? If not, what makes an OB valid? Okay, I'll go through that very quickly now because that's a fairly easy question to answer, right? So the two things that makes an OB valid is that number one, if I show you and I just draw out two areas of OB, right? And this is a demand zone, right? There's two things that make an OB valid, right? If you have a nice area of demand and the market pushes up, that push up must have a lot of bullish momentum. The reason for that is because we want that bullish momentum, which happens because smart money is pushing the market in that way, right? Bullish momentum, like a lot of bullish momentum, indicates smart money has gotten involved in a market because only smart money and only the amount of capital that smart money has to its available can have that aggressive type of action, can have that aggressive type of response onto the market, right? So if you have an aggressive push up, it's probably indicating smart money has gotten involved in the market. So that's the first thing that we look for, right? I've made a full video about this on the YouTube channel, but I'll go through it again quickly because why not, right? So the first thing that we look for on OB to be valid is that we must have had that aggressive push to the upside after that OB has formed. The second thing is that from that OB, we must have seen that aggressive push to the upside must have caused a break of structure to the upside. So here we go, we have an area of structure. The market is pushing out of that area of structure to the upside, right? From this OB right here. So we have this OB, the market pushes up from that OB, breaking structure to the upside, right? So two things must be valid, must be present for an OB to be valid. Number one, the OB must have broken structure, right? And then number two, the OB must have seen an increase in volume after it had formed, right? So those are the two things that make an OB valid. I do talk about this in a YouTube video, so you'll find it on my YouTube. But there you go. That's just a quick understanding of the two things that make an OB valid. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that has helped you out. Whoever asks you up, I don't know who asked. I'm not quite sure who asked that question. Whoever did, I hope that has helped. Yeah, Damo, yeah, no problem. He just said thanks, so I said no problem. Okay. Yahya says, if we miss the entry, how can we look to re-enter the trade? This is what I like to do. And this is how I like to get, like, back in the day when I was really, re-entry keen and I wanted those high risk rewards of 1 to 50 plus, right? What I would do is I would see the market push up, right? And then what I would have the market do is break structure above areas. So for example, we're looking at, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Let's get that back and get rid of this. And then we look at something like a 5 minute. Say, for example, the market breaks structure above this area of structure. Here you can see we have a very clear area of structure right here. Say the market pushes up above that area of structure and leaves behind a nice OB here. What you can do is, say you've missed this initial entry, right? What you can do is get another entry when the market returns back to this area here to take the market higher. So what we're looking at now is we're looking at an area of consolidation, right? An area that the market has tested once, an area of expansion, right? The market expands out of that area, right? Then the market returns back to that area where we can get our entry and take it to the upside, right? So that's what I would expect. That's how I would look to get any entries. For me, right now, at the moment, there aren't any OBs that are particularly clear. You could argue this is clear, but just because we haven't had that volume increase, I wouldn't be looking to enter from that sort of setup, right? Maybe if you look on the 1 minute, there's a bit of a better OB. It looks to me that there's a nice OB here that you could potentially be entering from. But that's what I would suggest you do if you're looking at re-entries if you've missed a setup. So that's what I would suggest you do, and that's how I would suggest you get involved in the type of market if you've missed your initial entry. I hope that makes sense. For whoever has asked that, I think that was Yahya. I hope that makes sense. Who else? We've had a couple other questions. Give us a second. What's your TP on Euro USD? My TP is very high up. I'm looking to trade with the banks. The bankers are saying that Euro USD, they've done their own fundamental analysis and believe that Euro USD is going to be going to 1.33, which is, a far way away, all the way up here. So if that ends up happening, then we're looking at some huge profits. You should be. I know that there are a couple of people that bought FTMO challenges at the beginning of this week. You guys should be a lot of you should have passed by now using the trades that we've already sent out. So CAD JPY sells that we sent out. What else? GP JPY sells that we sent out that have been profitable on both. So you guys should be looking at some very, very nice profits if you did enter those trades. But this setup alone, Euro USD, if it goes the way we want it to go, should be looking at a good couple FTMO passes and so on and so forth. Right. So that's what I would say. I would say we're looking at huge potential targets, 1.33, so on and so forth. But that's what I would be looking at. Wavy says, I know, bro, I should have passed by now and I haven't. It's okay if you haven't passed, because there's gonna be time differences, number one. Number two, you guys are not gonna be awake. I mean, that's basically the same thing as time differences. But you may not be able to get entries all of the time. Say, for example, you have an entry that's down 0.5% on your account, right? And you already have two pairs open, and I send out the third pair, and the third pair is the one that ends up popping to 200 pips plus, right? And we did have a trade that popped for 200 pips plus, if I could show us, Euro NZD, right? And this was sent to the group chat, the watch list, Euro, can't type, Euro NZD, right? This was sent to the watch list at the beginning of the week. This trade ended up popping for nearly 200 pips. So if I just show us, no, more than 200 pips. Why am I saying nearly? For 300 pips now. Holy, that was a beauty. You got a nice sniper entry, 1 to, if you guys hold it, 1 to 40 setup. So if you guys remember this was a beauty that I called in the group chat. Let me just show you that I actually Juan was in that, so you should be looking at some really, really nice profits, Juan. Yeah, because it is still dropping, and I did say that this would drop. So this is a beautiful setup. We are hoping for this to, I would say, Juan, you should probably start taking profits off the table, because all areas that I would have taken full profits off the table have now been hit. So areas down here have been hit. Maybe this would be your last area that you should be looking at. Right, but these were some very, very nice trades that we all caught in the group together. I had actually entered this trade as well, but I didn't hold it for the full while. If I just show us, I actually called it in the group and I scroll all the way up. So here we go. What did I post? Okay, here we go. Here's Euro NZD. You can see that before. And this was our entries. I was looking to take it at market a price. I can't speak now. An entry off of a Wyckoff distribution schematic from a last point of supply. If I go back to the chart now, the market came to that last point of supply, right? Took out those equal highs to the upside, came to that last point of supply and sold off nicely, right? So this was a nice setup. You guys should be looking at some nice profits. If not passing your FTMO or whatever, you should be up a good couple percent. So you should be not too bad on your accounts overall is what I'm talking about. So I hope that has helped you guys out. I hope that has been helpful to you. This call only has 8 minutes left on it. What I'll do is I'll start a new call just because Zoom has a 30-minute what do you call it, 30-minute maximum call. So what I'll do is I'll end this call and I'll start a new call once we're close to ending, like running out of time. Sorry, you sent me a message on DMs, not to everyone, but I will read it out. Saga says, hey brother, I would really, really appreciate if you could provide your views, just touch base on the Indian index Nifty Bank if it's possible in 2 minutes. Thank you so much for everything. No problem, brother, no problem. I'll of course do that. If you want me to go through Bank Nifty, and I know we have a couple of Indians in the group chat, so I'll of course do that. I will of course go through Bank Nifty for you right now. So give us a second and I'll go through that. Bishal says you want me to go through Eurochaff. So let's start with Eurochaff just because it's a forex pair, and it's easier to go through, to break down and so on and so forth, compared to something like Bank Nifty, which has a lot of gaps up and so on and so forth. But what did we see on Eurochaff? If I look at our higher time frames, you can see that we are bearish overall in terms of our daily time frame. You can see that we are bearish overall on our daily time frame here, right? So we should be only looking to sell this pair. Then what we had on Euro CHF was that we had, if it was to zoom, load, we had this very nice area of OB right here. The market tapped the OB perfectly and began to sell off. Then once the market done that, it formed this other OB that had a lot of momentum. You can see that this OB is as clear as it gets. The market looks to me that it's probably going to tap an OB up there, and then we're going to see the market continue the sell-off. So what I'll do is I'll set some alerts. This does look like a very, very nice setup. The Euro CHF, if I do say so myself. But yeah, that I think you should be looking at some nice profits if you enter this setup. This just from the get-go, without any refinement, you should be looking at, say, for example, we enter here with your stop loss just placed here, right? And you're looking at targets maybe below areas down here, and that would be perfectly plausible, just because if we zoom in a bit and I just show you that, we have areas of equal highs right here, right? So the market could come take out those not equal highs, what am I talking about? Equal lows, right? So the market might want to come take out those equal lows to the downside. We could get a nice entry from this price right here to take the market up. So the market triggers us in, hopefully is what we're looking, to take the market lower, to take out those equal lows. And then finally we have the market push to the downside some more, right? So that would be a perfectly plausible setup on Euro CHF. Euro CHF looks to be tapping OBs very, very a lot basically, because we have an OB up here that I tapped as well. It looks like the market tapped that, sold off nicely. Market formed this OB, sold off nicely after that, formed this OB. Now we're expecting it to sell off. So this does look like a very nice setup for whoever asked this in the group chat. The Bishal, I think this does look like a nice setup. I would hope you go through and enter this trade. Now we go on to Bank Nifty. I've never ever traded Bank Nifty in my life, so I'm not even sure how. Yeah, this trade, one second, this chart is very choppy, so maybe if we can get it compared to the USD, or give us a second, boys. Just gonna try get a better chart in. If not a better chart, fine, we'll just go through this chart. It's fine, not particularly annoyed about that. But basically, as you can see, this is an index fund. We had that huge crash for Corona in January of 2020. The market has recovered, as you can see very, very clearly. The market is bullish overall in terms of our 10-year level, 4-hour level, all of that good stuff, right? The market formed this 1-hour OB, right? And we have this 1-hour OB right here. It looks to me that the market might want to come into that OB and then continue pushing to the upside. If you look at our Fibonacci levels, right, and we draw in the full fib from this low to that high, that lines up with the 0.382 of the Fibonacci. So that could be a nice area that we look at to be entering setups from on Bank Nifty. I think you might be the only one that will be trading this chart, just because this chart is very, very choppy. It will work. Smart money concepts will work on this chart, but it's just going to be very, very, very choppy. In setups like these, they will get very choppy. So I'm not sure if you want to be opening trades on this chart. It will work, but I won't be entering the trades. Definitely won't be entering any trades on this type of chart. One says he wants me to go to DXY. I'll go to DXY. Why not? DXY is I think the German, the US dollar index. So here we go. We'll go through this right now. Why not? So here we go. What are we looking at in terms of our higher time frames? Our higher time frames, we are quite clearly bearish. The market has been bearish for a very long time now, so basically since the beginning of the crash of Corona, which makes complete sense with the the printing of money and so on and so forth that has really taken off. With Jerome Powell, who might say, I didn't mean to say Jeremy Powell, I mean Jerome Powell, the guy that controls the Fed in the US. He's been printing loads and loads of money, so this does make complete sense. The market looks to be bearish overall for the last year. It looks to me that the market is coming into an area of OB up here. This is another one of those choppy charts. Didn't quite trigger that OB. But maybe if you look here, there are any other entry opportunities to take the market low from. Maybe something up here. This could be a potentially nice area for the market to come into before a sell-off. Maybe even up here, a sell-off from this type of area would be nice as well. So I would say, yeah, this does look nice, but I'm not going to be entering any setups. I don't like entering setups on any exotic pairs, people, I know a couple of people that are successful that trade, exotic pairs, which such as the South African Rand and the Swedish krona, all stuff like this, such as, the DXY. The most exotic I would go is the S&P 500, which isn't exotic at all, right? And that's how I like to trade. But yeah, that's how I like to trade. What Lee sent through his chart, this is the chart that he's looking at for gold. Let me get my chart open for gold. So here we go. Let me just delete everything, not delete everything. Let's get rid of that. But basically, you're saying that the market has just formed equal lows. You're expecting to buy the market up. Also, another thing for gold that gold has on its side is that the market is just taking up equal highs to the upside, right? We could be looking at an area of consolidation, right? The market expanding out of that consolidation. Once the market expands, return to an OB and then continue going to the upside, right? And I do have areas, as you can see, that I am watching all the way up here for the market to come into. So this could be a very nice setup as well on gold. If we look at the 15-minute or something like that, to see if there are any areas, I'd say this area down here does look very nice. Those equal highs there, because we have consolidation on its side as well. So the market might want to come into an area like that. If we look here, maybe this OB, this you could argue is a nice OB that the market just tapped into. I would say maybe if we join the Fibonacci for our move and we see if this lines up perfectly to 0.786, so this is a discounted price, I would say you enter on around prices here. This is what I'd say you enter, targeting huge targets all the way up here. Looks like a nice setup. If you do that, then I'd say, yeah, that makes complete sense. With your stop loss just placed here, you're looking at 1 to 50. So gold, that's my little outbreak on outbreak. What did I just say? Outbreak for. I will have to end this call because we have less than a minute left. I will start the call again and I'll send it to the group chat. But thank you for coming. I'll see you guys in less than a minute, but I'll be back in less than a minute, boys. Give me a second.